I'm already live. Waiting on you. We're going to be talking to Comyn today, who works with men, single men, primarily, who are wanting to get better with women.
Well, it's not single men. In fact, the primary thing is men that are already successful with women, even married, and or married in a relationship. Now to keep your women and keep seducing your woman.
Hey, Lucy. It's one of my Kenyan friends.
Hey, Lucy.
Archie's wife.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
That's great story. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another great morning here in Florianopolis in south of Brazil. I titled this, Are You Warrior Enough to Seduce Women? And I wanted to ask you today about what your tools you have in the warrior path. And I want to ask you about it because a lot of men come to me to get help with women. And when they come for help with women, a lot of the men...
That's their first problem.
That they come to me?
Continue. That's another show.
It's like in School for Scoundrels, and he's a dating coach, and he gathers these guys, and they sit in a classroom, and he says, "Who here is Billy Bob Thorne? Who here owns a self-help book?" And they go like, He goes, "Well, that's your first problem. You don't want to be helped by you. Look at yourself. Listen to me." So, I want to ask you that because a lot of the guys come to me and because they want to improve the way they are with women. They want to attract more women. They want to attract the girls they want. And I see a lot of guys think about that means improving my skills, improving what to say, what to do, try to understand women. And a lot of the guys that go into the arena with women soon find out that the main things blocking them from going forward, the main obstacles, is not a lack of skill, is not a lack of techniques, it is not because of the women. But what they soon discover is that there's issues way more profound that keeps them from getting with the women that they deserve. And it is a form of self-acceptance, self-love, self-confidence, and so they think it's about women and they think it's this, but what women really mirror is that there is a whole lot of more profound work to be done here that will make them ready to start seducing women.
When you say here, for guys listening on your podcast, you mean with themselves. There's
with
a lot
themselves.
more work to be done with themselves.
Yes. And I like the idea of like, you gotta be a warrior first. A lot of the men I meet discover through their lack of women or not getting the women they want, or that what's really going on is a lack of warriorship. They are not warrior enough. They are not showing up 100%. They are not taking full responsibility for success in their life. They are not taking responsibility for success with the women. They have no way of expressing their own desire. They do not know how to make a stand. They're not showing up in the world. And so, of course, they're not attracting any women. And so a lot of the work, when I say I'm an artist of the art of seduction, and I would like to explore all these different ways of mastering that sacred art, what I end up doing is having to address the fact that if I want to help this guy, I need to go at the more profound issues of self-acceptance, self-respect, warriorship, showing up in the world, which is a conditio sine qua non. It's a prerequisite, to start attracting women. And so in comes Michael Skye, because I do these things, and I go at it, self-respect and trying to say no. But what you really developed is tools for guys to really tap, or to become a warrior. To become a warrior, first and foremost, start showing up in the world. Make sense so far?
Yes.
So I want to ask you and make clear to the guys out there also that there are very clear tools that could help you show up in the world and start expressing your own desire into the world. So a guy who says, fuck, that's me. I want to become a warrior first, you know. What do you talk about? What do you see when you talk about the warrior path and becoming a warrior in life?
Okay, so warriorship, we're talking about the inner war, really. It's really about who are you being in the face of what life is bringing at you or what you're confronting every day. And, you know, the way I think about it is there's always these calls. There's always these calls that come to you. And it's really just a human thing. It's an animal thing. It's, you know, if there's a threat let's see, you told your boss you would go into work and you're running late, you know, or that's not a good example. You told him that you would do this extra thing by the end of the month. Mm-hmm. And this awareness comes into your mind and you don't face it. You put it off. Like when it comes into your mind and you have a little bit of fear, like, oh, I haven't done it yet. And then but you don't face it. There's the call and you ignore the call. So the call comes again and you ignore it. The call comes again and you ignore it. It starts getting louder, right? Because there's a lot of consequences on the line potentially if you don't answer the call. There's calls like that all the time. You know, for example, you tell someone that you'll do something and then you remember to do it and you don't do it. There's, you know, you get clear, I want a girlfriend, or I want to go meet this certain girl, you know, the next time I see her, I want to talk to her, whatever, and you don't do it, and you don't do it, and you don't do it. Well, the more that you don't do it, there goes your confidence, right? With every time that you don't do it, confidence down, trust in yourself down, less honor, more guilt. So, you know, if we want to talk about self-esteem, self-acceptance, self-love, to me, it can be this simple.
Yes.
Am I facing and answering the calls, or am I not facing and avoiding the calls?
So the warrior path would be about answering the call.
Well, I have a tool called the warrior path.
Okay.
But I don't know if you're referring to that or if you're just saying like the path of the warrior, right? But what I'm talking about when I'm talking about warriorship is facing and standing, facing and standing, facing and standing. Now I take that to a very kind of deep and far, big level, mm-hmm. right? But it's very, very simple.
Right.
It's very simple. So it's that. So the guy who is not doing that, he has less confidence. People around him can sense it. People around him trust him less. And, you know, he's the guy who's not fully showing up. Mm-hmm. He's the guy you can't fully count on. He's the guy, you know, like if the fucking invading armies come, you don't know if he'll be there to ward them off.
So the self-acceptance, self-love, self-respect is as simple and as hard as facing and standing. Facing and standing, answering the call. How does that look? Say a guy says, fuck, I want to walk this path of the warrior. I want to face everything and anything. I want to stand for something. What tools do you have to help him?
Well, one of the biggest ones, though, one of the first things that comes to mind is allies. You know, allies, not friends. So if you put yourself in a situation where you have men who are also standing for facing everything and avoiding nothing, standing for being great men, no compromise, and they want you to call them, remind them who they are, call them to their highest, accept no bullshit from you, and you all do that for each other. That's one of the greatest. That's one of the greatest tools. Now, it's not like a guy can just do that unless he comes and, you know. And so another one is like my boot camps.
But wait, okay. But
yeah, I just want to finish saying this. My boot camps are that what it is I've created an environment so they can experience one person being their ultimate ally for 4 days. Go ahead.
How do you, because that's what I was going to ask. How does a guy, because you could say, okay, allies, I can be an ally. It seems like a concept. Oh, okay, it's a bit more than, but there's more in place there. There's a definition of what it means to be an ally. There's rituals or there are tools on how to be an ally, how to present yourself.
Yeah, I think truly being an ally and being in an alliance presents many, many conflicts. Most people do not welcome people confronting them with their own greatness, basically, is what it is. You know, reminding them who they are in a big way, calling them out, calling them to rise up. We kind of have this idea that the defense is kind of, well, hey, that's none of your business. Like, back off, that's none of your business.
Right. I want to go, like there are other tools, go ahead.
Let me just present a metaphor. So imagine you're in a board meeting in $1 billion company. You know, it's Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or whoever. You know, you're accountable to your investors, to employees' jobs are on the line. Like, you got to pay the bank loans. You know, all this stuff is riding on the line. There's no fucking excuses for not meeting the objective. You know, it's direct, it's in your face, it's full on. Imagine that kind of environment versus the friends that you have now. You know, mostly don't call you out to be a greater man. Mostly, yeah, that's not how we interact.
How do you create that environment? Like, how do you set it up in definitions and rules and in vows and whatever that is for the being an ally to work, for the alliance to work? Because I think guys are going to hear this and think, okay, yeah, I'm an ally. I use the word without really being an ally. What I learned from it is the ally knows your highest values, you know, and sees you in that light and holds you to those. And when he sees you're not acting in accordance with those values, he calls you out on that. And that in itself, you know, this is a complicated issue. That's not just, okay, I'm your ally now. So what do you have in place that people can start understanding what it means to be an ally, see the power of being an ally, and be an ally for their brothers?
Yeah, it's a bit more complicated than just saying it on a podcast,
right?
You know, but I think one of the things that's really important generally is to share physical space. So on a regular basis, you're all accountable to each other to meet at a certain time, and you know the meeting should all be really high standard as well. Like, it starts on time, and if it doesn't start on time, there's consequences, and it's all about like really putting, if you think about the military, like putting consequences in place, like not allowing people to I go back to my brothers, because this is where it started for me, my 3 younger brothers, and there was 4 of us in our alliance, and every morning they would come to my, I would say house, but it was one big office is what it was. I had no bed, no nothing. Everything was just about a powerful reflection. Like, you're that dedicated that there's no place to relax. It's full on. And we jokingly called, I called their place where the 3 of them lived together on the south side of town, I called it Rationalization Station. Because if they're out hanging out there, playing video games, doing whatever the hell they're doing over there, that's Rationalization Station. And my place was Integration Station. Integration, the way we used it, was the opposite of rationalization. So rationalizing is basically making it okay, making excuses for not facing the call, not standing up, not being a great man. And when you step across the threshold into my office, it's about remembering who you are. It's about recommitting. It's about getting clear again and calling yourself to the higher level. And so, it was a big joke between us, and it was a lot of fun. You know, the whole thing is, it's not, it's actually, we play the game seriously, and in a way it's life, it's serious. Your values, everything's on the line. Your dreams, everything's on the line. but it was a fun game,
Right.
you know. But we played it like at a really high level.
So, if you're listening and you get it, what I wanted to get at is that it's the idea of being an ally is a little bit more complicated, and an ongoing practice is not as easy as just thinking, okay, I'll be an ally. And what I've seen is we in our alliance, we put systems in place for that to work. Accountability systems, agreements, contracts, and it's really adapted to the here and now of being in this place in Brazil and you being the one you are and me. But there are really systems in place. It's not just
well, what I would say is we're really talking about stuff I would put in the domain of wealth warrior.
Right.
Like wealth warrior technology. That's when someone really gets the benefit of playing at that level and they really want to take things up to that level. But for the guy who is not experienced himself as a warrior in life, that's a bit far of a leap.
Yes.
You know? I went there with my brothers, but you know, I had that to invite them into. What I would say, because you asked like what tools are there, and I mentioned alliance is like one of the most powerful things possible, but it's not like the guy who doesn't have any of that is going to easily be able to just put that in place.
Right.
So one of the things I would say is, you know, one of the challenges is we create these comfort zones in the inside of ourselves and in our environment. So, for example, we hang out with friends who are comfortable with. Well, the definition of a friend is people we're just comfortable hanging out with and we enjoy spending time with. Allies aren't always necessarily enjoyable to hang out with.
Case in point.
Yes. But so beyond your comfort zone, beyond the world that you know, out there in the unknown is, you know, where it's going to be scary, where there's going to be fear, where you don't know. Put yourself there. That's one of the biggest things I could say, where you have to be aware, you have to pay attention to the call and then answer the call, because there's a lot more at stake there. There's a lot more at risk, and you're the one. No one's going to solve it for you. Starting your own business and having nothing else, no other source of income, that's your way of putting yourself out there. You have to, if you don't solve the problem, it's not getting solved. Starting a business, leaping into that. If you are a young guy living at home, or God forbid you're in your 20s or even 30s, you know, living at home with parents, you know, make the fucking leap. And yeah, you don't know where the money's going to come from, whatever. Go and face the unknown.
Yes, and this could be very conceptual. You saying this right now to someone, go outside your comfort zone or go away from home, you know. But I'm very interested in a guy who says, fuck, I want to walk this path. What are the
I'm not wanting you to shake the video.
What are the tools you have in place to help a guy out to do that? Like I saw the inner conflict diagram, and to me that's very valuable thing to see for a guy. How he's been compromising.
Yes.
Because he thinks, and when I ask guys, where have you been compromising? Nowhere. I'm not compromising.
Yes.
You know. But a big part of stepping into your warriorship is to be able to see very clearly that there's a compromise at your sense of life is kind of okay, but not magnificent.
Yeah, there are tools that we can use to awaken to the call, right? And realize how we're being defeated by the inner battles, right? And then decide to make the stand and make the leap. But I'll just come back to it because I think it's such a powerful thing, is changing your environment. You know, because you can have an awakening in a moment, like we could go through an inner conflict diagram. And then you go back to sleep the same day, going back to sleep, speaking metaphorically about how awake you are to how you're being defeated by the inner conflicts, how you're compromising, etc. Because we have this guidance system that keeps us going back to sleep, that keeps us forgetting who we could be, forgetting our values. And so, yes, we can have these awakenings, but one of the biggest, so for example, joining the military, joining some kind of really intense, even a business where it's not just a job, it's like everything's on the line. Joining some kind of team environment where there's no excuses, everything's on the line, and you're accountable and you're responsible. For a guy who doesn't have that sense of himself as the warrior, these are some of the things that he can do. Yeah, now, yes, there's the tools like the inner conflict diagram, tools like the warrior path, and I'm working on some programs right now, and we're working on some programs that we can offer to men to, what is a program? A program is designed for a certain output, a certain result, regardless of like how the environment changes or the different inputs, it produces a consistent output. So I'm designing a program so a guy can start without, at a certain level of warriorship, which could be really low, and it raises his level of warriorship, right, and like outputs the warrior, if you will.
Or a great tool I've seen and experienced is like the morning ritual. Many people talk about it, but really have a system in place that makes you get back your mornings, and not rely on your discipline to get up, but really put a system in place that will make you want to get up in the morning. That to me is a great tool. Start taking your mornings back, start having more time during the day, start being productive, start seeing what you want. So to me, that's a great practical tool.
If you want to wake up to how difficult the challenge is to really become a powerful man, the powerful man that you could be, and you're not a morning person, try to reclaim your mornings. Mm-hmm. Make a valiant effort to reclaim your mornings and see how long you can continue it. Mm-hmm. Because it's not as simple as you can say, put systems in place to, whatever. Yes, do that, but it's not that simple.
Right.
This is something I would put in the domain of the wealth warrior work. That was something that I designed, the wealth warrior rituals, the wealth warrior system, to be able to awaken yourself day in and day out and continually upgrade your systems. So I interrupt you there as you're talking about just put systems in place. It's not that simple because you're accountable to yourself. What happens tomorrow if you don't feel like working your system? You don't do it; it falls apart. Right. So
it's a continuous battle to wake up and then to continue to stay awake. Hence the warrior. And I can wrap it up maybe because I would like to put it in perspective of where I see it with men starting to look to be better with women. They're the nice guy, they're the good boy, and so many of us are asking about how can I get better with women. And so they think it's about skills and techniques. And what's really needed in a first phase is to go from that nice guy, good boy, into becoming a warrior who takes full responsibility for his life, who shows up in the world, who expresses his own desire, who's in touch with his own desire, his anger. And that is a big, huge, incredible battle, of day to day. And it will need systems, it will need allies, it will need you to say no to things, it will need you to grow into someone completely different. It will need you to transform yourself into becoming a warrior. And once you're a warrior, you already attract women. You will attract women, and you will attract the women you deserve, and you'll make beautiful memories. Only then, once you're fully a warrior, can you start looking at the art of seduction, I say, and really start looking, okay, how can I move this forward? How can I, what do I really want with women, and how does it fit in? But become a warrior first. And
it's so attractive, the man who's confident and the man who's the leader. Yes. And what that's to me is that's warriorship. That's not practicing some lines or some moves to lead your woman. That's self-leadership.
Yes.
That's answering the call. If you're not answering the call, you're not leading.
Right.
You are you're a follower of your whim. You're a follower of your fear.
Yes.
You're a follower of you're just reacting.
That's maybe a good summary of the whole trajectory of, say, the hero's journey of a seducer, is that the nice guy, the good boy, he's reactive and he's not leading, not himself, not the other, not his people. The warrior is 100% leading himself. He's taking charge of his life. You know? And then you're going to be ready to lead women, to lead your people, to lead the other, which is a very advanced, but you will not be able to go from the nice guy, the good boy, into leading others. You got to take charge of your own life. You got to be a leader for yourself. And that's the warrior. And if people are hearing it and they feel the call to become a warrior, it's going to be long and hard, but we're here to help out and fight alongside of you.
Warriorship is a continual journey.
Yes.
Right? If there's a scale, we're always lower or higher on the scale. And so it's not just something you become a warrior. Mm-hmm. It's something you're continually, the battles are always there.
Yes.
If you're not facing things for a few weeks, a few months,
yes,
your level of honor starts going down, your level of power starts going down, your confidence starts going down. It's always there. It's always, are you answering the call or not?
Or you're a warrior for so many women, but then one woman comes along and you really like her, and you completely leave your warriorship, or it's dying, and you lose your means. You're not a leader anymore. You're just trying to be with her, and you shift back into being just a nice guy. So
speak about yourself.
All right, we're here for you. See you tomorrow.